Welcome everybody to number 6 of ReikiShamanic tips and stories for challenging times. And I'm Rose Sedan, Wild Reiki and Shamanic Healing, and I am a Reiki master teacher and a shamanic practitioner in the Peruvian High Andes tradition, as well as an animal communicator. And I combine all of those for healing sessions and classes and events, bringing the people and the animals together so that we can co-create a more sustainable way of walking together in this world. Today, I thought I would talk a little bit about where we live, each of us in our individual living spaces, homes, apartments, perhaps caves, who knows? Because now we're, spending more time there than ever before. Most of us, anyways. Some of us are naturally nesters, cavers, and maybe not too much has changed other than perhaps the grocery store routine. But it's an opportunity for those who have time to kind of shift and create something new for yourself. We can't control, obviously, the events of the outside world, but we can exercise some creativity and control within our own environment, which can be very therapeutic, as well as energetically supportive in healing. So I'll tell you guys a story. Last time I talked a little bit about the fact that I had a feng shui practitioner come to my house when I was living down on Alki. And at the time, I was struggling to overcome some chronic health issues, which were the result of several car accidents. And I'd already thoroughly investigated the standard Western medical route without success, unfortunately, although eliminating a lot of really bad things that it could have been. And had been slowly working my way through a variety of complementary healing modalities. And some of them helped, and some of them didn't. So I decided to call in a feng shui expert and see if there was anything that I was missing or overlooking with the energy of my home office, since I spent most of my daily life there. As an animal communicator and Reiki and shamanic energy healer, I knew that sometimes seemingly little elements can make a big difference. And it's sometimes hard to step back and see yourself and your life clearly. So when the feng shui practitioner arrived, we went over my goals for what I hoped to create in my life. And of course, an improvement in my health was at the top of my list. And as we walked through my home together, she shared with me which areas were related to aspects of my life. And it turned out that my relationship corner was smack dab where my desk and computer were. And if that weren't bad enough, she said my desk was facing the wrong direction. And I mentioned that yesterday in talking about connecting with all my relations. When she focused on the health area of my home office, that's when it got really interesting. She had this look of like stunned disbelief on her face. The wall that was in the health area of my life faced the stairs that came up to the second floor. And I had some art on that wall. And she just looked at me like, oh my God. She said, do you realize that you have a print on your wall of of your health wall, of a woman falling down the stairs? And you know how you have things on the wall for a couple years? Do you really look at them? So I took a step back and I really took a good look at that wall that I walked by every day. And I felt, you know, a little energetic ping. This was important. So I found myself looking at a signed limited edition Edward Gorey print. And yes, in and amongst the many dramas that were being enacted in that piece of art, there was a woman falling down the stairs. And, you know, for many years I had felt drawn to Edward Gorey's kind of quirky, somewhat macabre sense of humor. You know, for those of you who might not know who he is, if you've seen the opening credit for PBS's Mystery with the scenes of, you know, in black and white pen and ink of Victorian men and fainting women in cemeteries, you know, you kind of get the idea. So, purely from a practical perspective, the symbolism of a woman having an accident was very clear. But what I found myself doing from a shamanic perspective was feeling my way into the energy of how I felt about his art at that time, at that moment in my life. And what I discovered was really fascinating. You know, with my involvement in doing my own Reiki and shamanic clearing work on a daily basis, I had apparently done so much that the kind of gray darkness of Edward Gorey's art, his perspective, it didn't appeal to me emotionally anymore. Apparently I was no longer a goth girl, even though I never really called myself that. So right in that moment, I immediately took Falling Woman off the wall, along with the rest of Edward Gorey's art that was hanging up. It was time to let them go. You know, it didn't speak to me anymore. And I thought, oh, what do I put in its place? You know, I didn't want my health wall to be bare. Never mind the fact that I appreciate having art on the walls. So when I asked the feng shui practitioner what she recommended, she said to me, you know, what's important to you? And as soon as she said that, immediately I had an image in my mind and opened up the closet door we're standing next to and dove in. And I emerged with a rolled up poster that I'd had for many years, but I had never framed it. And my ownership of it even predated my life as a Reiki or shamanic practitioner. And the print was by Susan Seddon Boulay. And as I carefully unrolled it, the image of a woman emerged with shamanic elements of animal and nature allies. And right at the bottom, in big, tall capital letters, you know, printed on it was shaman, the word shaman. So I kind of pushed it towards feng shui practitioner. I said, how about this? And she countered with, well, what does it mean to you? And I had this upwelling of emotion and tears sprang to my eyes. And I said, everything. And she said, well, then that's what you put on the wall. So in that moment, I made a transitional step, I guess you could say, into embracing the woman I'd grown into. And in doing so, I realized that I needed to walk through my entire space with my shamanic perceptions wide open, to let go of pieces from my past that no longer reflected, you know, who I had become. You know, I needed to carefully check my connection to each and every item. Did it feed my spirit, or was it holding me back? You know, the energy that I surrounded myself with mattered. So I'll just unplug here for a second and take me mobile. See if we can do this. I'm gonna take you to show you the print. It's in a different. I'm in a different place now, but it has a place of honor. I have no idea which wall it's on. I haven't done feng shui for this place. But let's see. There she is. So, you know, it's important what you fill your space with. I have gone through here. I guess I could do this. So, for example, here I have an artist who's done some lovely portraits of two of my animal companions. The cat in question is Kiya. The dog is my beloved dog Puma, both of them now in spirit. Up on top on the bookcase, that photo image is from the late 1800s. It's believed to be the last photo of the last herd of buffalo before they were exterminated, pretty much by the U.S. government. And it doesn't so much feed my spirit. Obviously, that's something, that's a little bit sad. But I've done clearing work around the sadness part. The importance to me energetically is that it speaks to the connection with the time past when the buffalo were sacred and when they covered the land. So it's that connection to the ancient ancestral energy, if you will. So I'll give you another example. This is a piece of furniture. Here is a very rustic looking table. And you can kind of see that it's very rustic. And it's very special to me because it was a gift from a neighbor who I discovered that he did, I call him the mountain man. He's studied how to do things the old-fashioned way, which includes making his own nails. He also supports the buffalo, interestingly enough. We have an overlap of interests. You just never know who's in your neighborhood. And I was very enthusiastic. He knows how to make water buckets, the old-fashioned way, so that, they're made out of wood and they're created in such a fashion that you could carry water in them. And he said, oh, you're the first person who's been excited about what I do. Most people are just like not. I'm like, oh, no, this is cool. So he said, I have the fence that used to surround the property where you live. I rent, by the way. I don't own the property. I wish. Seattle's very expensive. He said, and showed it to me. It's an old cedar fence. This was when they actually hand planed the cedar. So this is really rough hewn. It's got, waves and curves to it. It's not boards like you get at the lumberyard now. And he said, how about I make you, a table for outside? And I said, oh my God, that would be so wonderful to have that, because I love where I live. This house is 1908. I love old places, character, charm. Yeah, there's drawbacks. We won't talk about those right now, though. So he created that table, and he used some, he saves things. So he used some nails that had actually been created over 100 years ago to put it together. So there's no like modern screws or anything in it. I love that thing. I love it so much that I didn't put it outside. It's become part of my interior. But it speaks to me of the things that are important to me. Neighbors, handcrafted, connection to the tree people, honoring them. It didn't go to the dump. That fence that was taken down, it was thrown out by curbside, and he rescued all of those pieces of wood. So, my suggestion to each of you is to take this time while you're spending more time at home and, take a look around your space. Really take a look at each item in the room with you. Pick a room, any room. Look at that item. How does it make you feel? Good, bad, neutral? If it's not a pleasant memory, put it away. Gather it together with the things that you're going to take somewhere when you can finally take them somewhere. And smudge it. Smudge that item, smudge the place where it has been, because once you start moving things around, any energy that's been stuck to it kind of starts swirling. Moving tip, guys. As you start packing things up for moving, should you be having to do that, smudge items and smudge, where they were. It does. And there's a lot of heavy energy that goes into the air when you're moving a whole household. And if you have emotions come up about this, maybe it's hard to let it go even though the memories aren't good. Maybe it's conflicting feelings. So do some clearing work with the help of the stone person that we talked about in the second video. So I'm still planning on having folks be able to attend Fireside with me tomorrow night, which is Saturday. It's going to be at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Pacific, because of course it's not dark until then by now. So I might tell a short story, but I think more it's going to be kind of everybody can relax and decompress and, look into the fire. And I don't know what the cats are doing. Manitou's usually front and center, but how cats are. You just can't necessarily assume that he's going to be willing to do that. We get so busy, when we could be busy outside of our place, that everything just kind of fades into the background. So behind me, you can see my altar above the fireplace. And I try to go through it at least once a year to dust. But while I'm dusting, I know that sounds terrible, doesn't it? It's usually at least twice a year. While I'm dusting and taking each thing down, each element on there that's a reminder or an honoring or whatever, I ask, is its place still here? Or is it time to move on? Or is there something else I'm supposed to bring in? So it's good to revisit. So after this video, I will be posting the weekly Reiki Shamanic puzzle. For those of you who might not know, it's under the resources tab on my website, which is www.ReikiShamanic.com. And every week I change the image, and it's just a little puzzle. I think it's 7 by 5 pieces. You do the math. Multiplication tables. And they're not part of my memory sets anymore. But when you complete the puzzle, there's an inspirational quote, and of course there's always a story. So when you visit the page, it tells you, there's a link that can take you to the full image on Fine Art America. My photos, I've started offering them for sale as prints and greeting cards and mugs and things like that. But there's also a story underneath the link that tells you a little bit of background about, about it, how it happened, because my photographs, I don't call myself a photographer. Well, not in the sense of trained photographers who work for Nat Geo. Photography is important to me because it helps me tell the stories of the animals, bring them more to life. But I do connect through the lens and through the heart with the animals and with the nature allies that I'm with. So every week on Friday, I post that by 12 noon. I usually aim for. If you're interested in learning Reiki, I have a class coming up. It's a 6-week class, and now is a good time to learn Reiki because you can do your daily self Reiki, help keep your immune system strong. You can help your animal companions. If you're, have folks that you're sharing space with, you can also help them stay strong. I'm also going to be around the same time teaching my program Bones, Stones, Feathers, and Fur, some elements of which you've been introduced to in these videos. That's 8 weeks, and I introduce you to your allies, your personal allies, and so that you can, and I teach you how to interact and work with them, as well as introducing you to some of my allies. So you get a full team of support that helps you connect with the natural world and with the realm of spirit. So, I didn't know I was going to do a little pitch, but there you go. So let's see, looks like we have some more comments. Lynn says, these videos give me hope. Hope lives in the present. Thank you. That means a lot to me, because that is really what caused me to jump way out of my comfort zone and do this. I never thought that I would be doing something like this. So Julia says, I've got some things to do around my house. Thanks, Rose. Well, I think that was a genuine thank you, but it's like, oh yeah, once you kind of know, you can't sweep it under the rug. It's a form of energetic housekeeping that you can't. Barbara says, yes, I love the reminder to be present and ask myself in the item if it's time to be done with it or to have it move on. It's been difficult to be present, not just during this time, but for a few years. Thank you so much. You're all very welcome. And Norma says hello. Hi, Norma. I got regulars. This is fun. We got tribe going on. Thank you all. And Sue says, so glad you did. Yeah, it was. My guys were like, now is the time. Boom. You need to be out there. It's not so much me needing to be out there. Of course, I'm the hands, the feet, the voice, but they basically said now is the time when these ancient ways of being in the world are going to be most important to help people get through this time and to create a new way of being in the world when we get out the other side. So I'm so glad that you're all here, those of you who are live, and I'm grateful to those of you who are listening to this as a replay, because this is important work according to my guides. Hard times, but we can create something really positive and really beautiful out of all of this. And we can do that through our connections with all our relations, with clearing ourselves, clearing our spaces, connecting with our relatives that are directly around us, the birds, the squirrels, or wherever you live, whatever urban or perhaps more wildlife you have. All right, everybody, I'm going to wind it up here, and I will see you live or virtually or on replay, whatever, perhaps tomorrow night as we sit by fireside. You, me, the cats, and perhaps those of your animal companions who want to join us. It would be fun. So take care, everybody. Have a good day.